So we'll get started. We're just gonna jump into it, and good to have you on the podcast. By the way,
Thanks for having me.
I'm gonna put this up for people to see, right? And I'm gonna start right now. Yo, what's up, everyone? This is Dante, the Silent D, and I am here on our Why Date podcast. I know it's been a while since we've been we've been kind of quiet for a few months. A few months. It's been a while since we jumped in. So this is me by myself. I don't have Max Savage or Renaissance Man with me. But we're here, and we're just going to keep moving forward. Just to give you guys some updates on what happened with the podcast itself. I did go take a trip to Orlando, and I was at a PodFest out there, a little podcast convention. And we were, I went there by myself, and I kind of get a better understanding of the industry itself, that podcasting is very big, man. I didn't realize how big it was until I went out there to meet a lot of people and network with people. I was actually on a couple people's podcasts, which is pretty cool, and I'm very respectful to anyone who put me on. I was gonna post this on a YouTube channel. I created a YouTube channel. I'm trying to get consistent with it to have a YouTube channel. Right now I'm on my Instagram Live. Hopefully I can put this video on my YouTube channel. It's on a Why Date podcast. And yeah, so I'm pretty excited for that. A couple big changes going on with the podcast itself. And I think we're just going to keep moving forward and growing as a community and as a unit. I got my man Heartbreak Asian on the live stream. I got him on there. He said he'll come back. Much love, man. I love you, man. And so we're just gonna start this up. And I know the topics I was talking about, I promoted it a little bit on my YouTube channel, which was talking about finding your Mr. or Mrs. Right. I think a lot of people are looking for that. Everyone's kind of looking for a Mr. or Mrs. Right. And I actually have someone who knows a lot more about it than I do. She's a professional matchmaker. I can say professional, right? Profession, right? Okay. But it's her job is to find people who have the Mr. or Mrs. Right, like that person that you're looking for. And I'm not going to take too much of her time. I know she has a couple of accolades to talk about, but I'm happy to have her on here. We've been talking a few times over on our on phone conversation. I think we're in the same Facebook group together, a dating Facebook with Albert. Shout out to Albert if he's listening. But we connected and we just chopped it up for a little bit. And I was on my way to Orlando before we were talking, and I was told when you come back we're gonna start doing it again. And I'm gonna have her up here, Caitlin. And it's good to have you out here. And
thank you.
Yeah, it's but I also want to ask you a few questions too, and I think that's what people want to know. I don't know if you want to have a code name here. If everyone has a code name, there's Renaissance Man, there's Max Savage. Do you want to tell people your code name? Like what can we say? What can we say that to disclose your name out so people will know? I'm not sure if you are open for it or not, but we always ask what your code name is. Do you have one?
You're putting me on the spot.
Yeah. You have. Do you have a I'm not sure, like a what's it called? A nickname that people called you by, or we're just gonna keep calling you name?
Yeah, they called me at school. They called me Dapsinator.
Dapsinator. we might just have something there.
And there were lots of different versions of that as well. So they had a lot of fun with it. They're very creative in Australia.
Oh yeah, and I also mentioned she is all from Australia, as you can tell, right?
Yes.
Is it accent or?
Yeah, but I was in London for 3 years.
Oh, okay, so
it's a little bit British and now
okay.
American,
So don't want to do too much of her time. Give her a little overview, a bio about yourself. Why date? That's a question we always ask people. Why date, or why should you date? It's a question I want to ask.
Okay. Cool. So
what do you believe in? What's your thoughts?
I'm a professional matchmaker, and I actually started by studying psychology at the University of Melbourne. So that's kind of where I first got my introduction to psychology and relationships. but I was always the go-to person when people were dating, having like relationship problems. It was always like the main topic of conversations with all of the people that I knew. And when I sort of came across the profession of matchmaking, I was just like, wow, I really want to do that. So I've been doing it for about 2 years now, and it's just something that I absolutely love talking about. Like, I can talk to people all day long about their relationships, what's going on with their dating, all of that sort of stuff. So yeah.
So you're pro believing that finding the right person is key. Like, you believe that you fully, you're not like, you don't just want to hook people up just for that. Just, you want to find that perfect match, right? That you
well,
not someone like.
I would not call it perfect, because people are people.
Yeah.
You know, people are human. They have their flaws.
Yeah.
I often tell clients, if the connection is great,
Yeah.
if you feel like the base level is friendship, that is such a great place to start from. I think that we can sometimes over-intellectualize what it is that we're looking for, and maybe that blocks us from being able to find that person that would be a great partner.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's true in a lot of sense. And I think that all the dating apps that we have now, I don't think it suffices for, because when we look on dating apps, I probably got them all, and I look at I look at them and I'm like, I look at like personal physical appearance first. I'm like, and, you know, I swipe every now and then, and like I'm like, all right, okay, it's my time. You know what I mean? Like, but like I think we all kind of look at that. I don't know, Sheriff, what's your insight on dating apps? Are you like pro for it, or are you kind of think that's a good platform to use for dating?
I'm very much of the belief that you can tell more meeting people in person and just going out, doing things you enjoy, just always meeting new people. I just think that online dating can be such a waste of time. You know, because you might meet with someone and you like get along with them well, but you're like, we are like totally, we've got totally different backgrounds. Like, this is never going to be happening, you know? So it's like, it's really hard to tell when you're like, everyone's on online dating. So
it's true. I mean, like, it's just a whole, I mean, Bumble kind of makes it a little better when the girl's going to approach you. It's, you know,
Bumble.
It's if we want to, like, you know, respond back as guys, you know, like, we're like, whoa, what, you know? But it's just true, because, like, I use them. And I've had some pretty good friendships built from it, and but I'm not saying it's the worst thing ever. But like, yeah, there are some key points, and I think for the busy, I always run across women who are very busy, very like they don't have time to go out, socialize, meet people, so they kind of use that as a platform to meet someone that they're interested in.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are like, man, like doctors, lawyers, engineers, like they're pretty like high credible jobs. I'm like, oh, like like it feels so intimidating for me. Like I'm just like, man, I feel like I need to get my life together, But like I've seen it happen so many times. I'm just like, okay. I mean, I'm not saying I believe in there's two ways of going about it. I mean, you can just agree with me. I don't think it's a complete waste of time. I think like for certain people who are the busybodies who don't really have time to go out and meet people, like back in the day we had speed dating. That was like, oh, that's the worst thing ever. Like this it's like Tinder. Like it literally is like a digital Tinder, like in real life. RLL. Like it's just like, but it's just crazy because I've always noticed that from there, and I mean, I don't know. I guess you can go with meeting people in person. I mean, eventually it pulls onto meeting them in person. But
well, I mean, I also think it's like good to think about it of how much time am I spending messaging someone.
Yeah.
Because I remember this one time I'd spent like 4 weeks chatting to this guy, and then he stood me up, and it was like I've just wasted all this time, and I'm not going to ever go out with this guy. He just stood me up, So it's like it's also that thing of like how much and then. From like a social perspective, like we are human beings and naturally social.
Yeah.
And it's actually been proven that eye contact can really reduce things like depression and anxiety and things like that.
Wow.
And so I think that human element of it is so important.
Yeah.
And I just think that we are relying like way too much on, Facebook Messenger and text message
DMs, side DMs.
I just got back from a trip from Italy, and like people don't do texting as much.
No.
It's like literally let's go for coffee.
Yeah.
And ever since getting back, or let's chat on the phone.
Yeah.
So ever since getting back, I don't chat to my friends on text. I say, do you want to meet up or do you want to chat over the phone? Because it's so much better for us as human beings to have that social outlet.
It's true. And I think, like you said, human beings are socially, we tend to socialize. I think a lot of us, we tend to forget that sometimes. We have a mouth, we can hear, we can do a lot of things, and I think we just close that off to us. And yeah, no, I agree. I agree totally good now. Like,
oh, good.
I'm on you with that one, okay? Yeah. Dating apps, I mean, that can be debatable, but hey, man. But yeah, I agree. Like, I eventually do like, meeting people in person. I'm a people person. I like meeting people and talking to them. Yeah. Like, they could be like whatever they says on their like their paperwork can check off, but if, like once you meet them in person, you're just like.
Totally.
This is not the same. This is not
exactly.
You don't have you don't have these things you told me, So and people get catfish and things like how that happens. It avoids that.
Yeah.
So for your professional line of work, do you send them physical? Do you send them any pictures of what they look like, or for the person you have that you think that would match up?
Yeah.
Did they have to see a person, or do you want them to meet them in person?
Yeah, like
okay,
I
so
share,
they know what they look like first.
Yeah, so
it's like a blind date.
My clients, I'll share the photos of the person that I want to set them up with. Yeah. They'll say yes, like that, would like to go out with that person, but it's it's so much more than that. It's also trying to use my intuition of knowing my client really well and kind of also getting a sense of the person I'm setting them up with, and then kind of being like, I think they'll vibe well, and then when they meet up in person, then that's kind of when they get the opportunity to meet each other and get to know each other. But again, like always encouraging them to like meet in person and not sort of be chatting via text too much.
Yeah, so. You gave a rule like you can't text me too. Yeah, you have a total of 20 text messages. That's it. Use them wisely, right? But it's true.
Lay down the law.
It's like don't do it. Just make sure you guys don't text. Meet in person. Okay, I'll set the date. I'll set the coffee, location, time. No more, nothing more than that. Figure it out. But like, what do you look for? Like when you know that they're vibe, or like you said, vibe. Like, what do you look for in that situation? Like, I know it's hard to find. Like it's like finding a puzzle. Like, okay, I think they have. Do you look for people with the same interests, or you look for like opposite? Like, do you look for like maybe they can? What do you look for? Like, as far as vibing goes, like they will vibe well just based off them talking to each other.
So, they talk a lot about people having different blueprints.
Yeah.
And because I'm such a big people person, I've met like so many different people over my lifetime that when I meet people, I'm like, oh, they remind me of this person.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like using that blueprint of like remembering people that I've known in the past, and then just kind of thinking, okay, like, I think this would work on an intuitive level.
Yeah.
But then of course my clients give me like what they're looking for as well.
Okay.
And then as I send them out on more and more dates, we tweak that. They're kind of like, I thought that this was really important, and now upon going on some of these dates, I've realized that it's actually not that important. I think that sticking to values is a little bit more
so you look for values, like
a higher priority. But starting off, like the relationship with my clients, the list tends to be longer, but then as we work more together over the months, it's then like, well, what's really important to me?
Yeah.
For me personally, in my own dating life, like I used to think that like someone who's like an entrepreneur and like that would be such a great match for me, etc., etc. And like as I'm like dating more people, I'm realizing, well, actually, no, I think that someone who has good communication skills is actually more important.
That's true.
Because I've dated loads of entrepreneurs and their communication skills are like so bad that it's just like, like, no, I can't do this.
It's like, you're successful, but you're missing that key component. It's communication.
Yeah.
So do you also look at that with your clients too as well? Like, okay, like you said, you break it down. So have you met clients who like, they list a whole bunch of like, they're just
totally.
like, I want them to be clean. Like, you're just like, okay, let's what's more important? And they're just like, well, I guess maybe I don't want that. So what do you say to them? You just kind of like, because I know they're like, well, that's what I want. I need that. And you're just like, okay, you know, it makes your job harder, but make it easier. Just find those key components.
I think there's like a few different stages of working with a matchmaker. It's that you go in with this idealized idea of what it is that you're looking for. And then when the reality is presented, then you kind of you start to think, okay, well, maybe I can kind of loosen up my requirements a bit, because like what we think of and like what the reality is are often two very different things.
It's true.
So I always try and encourage clients that if the chemistry isn't there straight off the bat, but you had an awesome time with the person and you could see yourself being friends with them, that is just such like a great base level, and to at least give another 3 or 4 dates.
And it takes a while for certain people to kind of like create that boundary. Okay, we're working on something here, and you get some feedback from it too, from all your clients. It's like, like, have they been a perfect match? Are they still together? Like, is that what you have right now currently? So you have a good success rate of matches. That's good. So now we made an episode. Okay, we had an episode of our wine date. It was a do opposites attract. Okay, it seems like you're picking like same interests, and like has that ever been a situation where the same interests just didn't work out? Right? It was just like, okay, we're too much alike. Now, have you ever had to hook someone or match someone with someone who's the complete opposite? Have you ever experimented with that, or you kind of just keep the same interests? Or what?
I mean, I think that in relationships, like what like a healthy relationship model is, that I have my interests, you have your interests, and some of our interests might overlap, but not all of them do. Okay. So we can still have a life together and also have a life of being like independent. Okay. So that type of relationship, it's got like the name for it is interdependence. Yeah. So it's like I can depend on you like when I need to, but then I can also live my life without you. I'm not dependent on you. So
that's good. And that's what you look for. That's crazy. That's that's so much like work. I'm like, man, it's like I mean I guess you're so used to doing it, you're like, and like you make it look like it's clockwork, make it sound so easy. But I'm just like, man, I mean for myself, I mean I personally, like, for me and Mr. and Mrs. Right, like I was saying before, I'm just like, I don't know. It's kind of, hard to find that Mr. and Mrs. Right. I mean, I think this is like, when I never heard someone say, this is like the perfect person for me. Like, I've heard it, and it's like the next like year, they're divorced. You know, like, I see it happen. I swear I was at a wedding, and I was like, wow, they were, when they just said the same thing before the other person said green, there's like, oh, you're gonna say that too. We both are gonna say that. I'm like, oh man, they're the perfect. They're gonna work out. I think this is gonna be it. The next year, they get divorced. They're just like, oh wait, you know what I mean? Like, so it's just, I don't know. Like, I mean, for me, like that threw me out. That just destroyed my whole idea of Mr. and Mrs. Right. I'm like, this doesn't exist. It doesn't exist anymore. It's just like, but I see it, I'm like, man, I mean, I don't know if it's, I mean, from your success rate, it sounds like it works out, but it's hard for me to get convinced on, like, that's possible, that there's Mr. and Mrs. Right. I know there's someone for everybody, but it's just like, man.
Well, I mean, like, another thing to, like, look out for is if the chemistry is, like, way off the charts, that can sometimes be like unhealthy. Yeah. It can get to a degree where like you're both thinking about each other like all of the time, and that's like not a healthy relationship dynamic. So maybe with those two people that got married, that's like what happened, where they were just totally crazily infatuated with one another. They were just like, didn't actually know each other that well, and then once like they got together and were living together, living day to day, they're like, oh crap, like this person has a few things that I can't really deal with. So, in answer to your question before of why date, why date? Because you really do need to get to know someone.
You do.
Really need to take it slow. You really need to understand the biology that when we're having sex with people, that it has a way of like overpowering us, and kind of taking that time to really get to know someone means that that overpowering feeling isn't taking over your whole life, thinking like, oh, this is the one for me.
Yeah.
So really getting to know someone and really just like trusting your instincts. Like if there are like some things in the beginning that you're just like, oh, like I'm not sure I'm okay with that, then listen to that.
Yeah.
So that's often like a lot of times also what I'm working with clients on, to really like listen to themselves and their intuition.
Wow, see? This is why we have why date. Why date? But I wanted to ask another question. It's kind of, I don't know, but situations, I'm trying to think of a way to say this in a way it makes sense. I had it in my mind, I just totally just dropped it out. I just didn't write it down. But you just totally closed it on that one. But now, as far as when you say working things slow, now our generation is very fast paced. And I think a lot of us, based on what we see, it's in reverse. Like I think that people are thinking working a little too fast before they get to. They're pulling their fruits before they ripe. I think because what I had issues with is that friend zoning is not the worst thing ever. And I had a whole big episode like season 1 about it. Like friend zone's not the worst thing ever. Like I think it's smart to kind of build that. That establishment. If you feel comfortable, you can make that next step. Like I think. But I just seen it happen so many times. But it's worked a few times. But for me, I'm more slower paced.
Yeah.
But it's hard for me to kind of keep in touch with my generation because they're very fast paced. Like people in our age range are just like, well, especially in their 30s. Like people are like, yo, like is it now or never? Like we're gonna date. I'm like, let's build a friendship first. Let's build a relationship first. I don't really know you like that to open up to be vulnerable like that.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people in your line of work, has that been an issue dealing with like multiple different generations of people who are going different paces? Like there's people like, I want this now, and they don't want to build like a friendship first. They want to just date first. If that makes sense. I don't know that.
Yeah, well, I think it goes back to the chemistry
Yeah.
thing of people are always wanting that like instant chemistry. It doesn't actually matter what age they are. Like I've got some clients that are like in their 50s and they want that right away. And that if it's not there right away, then they, they're kind of like, this person's like not a match for me.
Yeah.
Even though we went on a date and like spent 3 hours talking and like there was no gaps in conversation or anything like that.
Yeah.
So I think that your train of thought is a good one for sure. Like, having a friendship first, really taking it slow, getting to know the person. But then also, like, I think there's this element of, like, if you are attracted to someone, there's this, like, oh, well, why isn't anything else happening?
Yeah.
Like, are you attracted to me?
Yeah.
And, if people are wanting a relationship, they're kind of wanting to know, well, could this become romantic?
Yeah.
And so that's probably what you're coming up against, is just
like,
that with the friends thing. People are like, okay, well, I enjoy your company.
Yeah.
I like spending time with you, but like, is this actually anything romantic?
Yeah.
Because if it's not, then maybe I should be like going out and meeting more people or something like that.
Yeah, that's definitely true on that one. I think people are trying to find that they need to know answers now, and they're like, okay, like before I invest my time, quote unquote time, what am I investing it into? Yeah. That's the kind of issue I've always had for a few times. I'm just like, and then like, it's just all right. I've been through this so many times. Like, how do I explain this to you? So, but
and then it also might be just like that romantic element of where like you don't have to take it the whole way. You could just be taking it slow, like when you go out, like holding hands or something, like just something small like that, but just to show that you are interested romantically.
And that's the smart part about it. I think that is what people take that step to. For me, it's just like, I just want to just like not do anything romantic yet, but like it doesn't give them the clearer option to figure out if it is romantic or if you're trying to be a friend. So it's just like it's in between, and I'm just like, I always have issues with that. I'm just like, I hit my head on it so many times. It's like, I don't think it's just gonna work out, so. But
and then the other thing I wanted to say also is that, like, I think that dating can be too formal.
Yeah.
I think that, doing very casual things together and just like hanging out is like a great way to get to know someone. And I think that there's too much pressure on dating. Like, where am I going to take them? Where are we going to go? Like, who's going to pay?
Yeah.
Like, all this kind of stuff. And it's just like, it's not about any of that.
Yeah.
It's about like two people coming together and seeing whether they vibe and getting to know each other and getting to know like those little quirks. Like, you like you wouldn't know from like just a profile, someone's little quirks, but when you meet them and you're getting to know them and then they do something like that's just so like small but like endearing, and you're like, and then that like takes the attraction to the next level.
I think that's lacking in just reading someone's bio or reading someone's like information about them, whatever they say on a paper. It's like I said, it's more authentic when you're just meeting someone like that. I think that's what I've noticed. Certain things I'm like, oh man. I mean, like, but like the issue is like I've seen a lot of my experience, a lot of women who like want me to take them out to dinner, movies, like, and they want me to try to figure it out, and I try to say, let's just do coffee, and it's just like super like not formal. Like I think they, in their mind, they're thinking that this is supposed to be a date or something like that. But I'm like, we're just getting to know each other. Like I don't know what you look. And like I said, I'm on dating apps, okay? So, all right. So this is all off dating apps. Yeah. But it's just like, and I was the wrong. You're totally against it. I get it. We've had this talk, but it's just like that's what And I also meet people outside of the world. Like there's a world outside I can go into. Like I can go to a library or coffee place or at work. I can meet people there too, but what I've been noticed now is just like it's so much pressure. Like you said, it's a lot of pressure. Just mostly on. I mean, I've said for the women, but like guys, like we have to like plan everything. Like we have to make sure the time, what we're doing, and they're waiting for me to figure it out. I'm like, well, I mean, it'd be more important if we can collectively figure something out together, and that's a big thing for me. What I look for is that if we can't collectively, if you want me to do everything. It's just like, okay, so what do you have a mind, you could be interdependent, you can figure this out on your own. Yeah. And that's the kind of things I look for. So I figure those things out on my own, and like I don't know for sure if I played matchmaker, but like I'm not a professional matchmaker like you are, but like for me I just like, oh yeah, we met because of like a certain someone that we both know are dating because it was a mutual friend for me. And it wasn't something I was intentionally doing. I wasn't like, oh yeah, you guys should talk. You guys have so much in common. And it's just like, I didn't do none of that. But like, it just happened that they just, like, it was that little thing that court, like you were saying, that they noticed, they picked up on. They were just like, they had nothing in common. Both these two were like, if you look it up, you're like, okay, yeah. But it's, when you say, when you meet someone, it's just, you never know. Yeah. And I think that's what people pick up on.
Yeah, so. And I think that, like, it doesn't matter what you do when you're meeting up with someone. It's about, are we connecting? Is there an equal amount of us each having an opportunity to talk, or is the other person talking too much? And that might just be nerves, which is why I say do 3 to 4 dates with one person if you think that there might be something there, because maybe it is just nerves and like it wouldn't ordinarily be like that. But it really, like, I think the less pressure, the better. Because it's really just about, do we connect? Do we vibe? That kind of thing.
Keep it very casual. I think when it comes to dating, like taking someone to dinner, you're just like, oh, what, like, who? So what do you like to do? Like, and you get so like, I've been there. I was like, it's so nerve wracking. Just like. You get someone who's like, yeah, well, I'm a, and people I run across are like very intimidating, like they're just like, they're like CEOs and vice presidents and just like, oh yeah, so what do you do? Like, just, and I feel like it's like an interview. Like, I just don't feel like that natural, like casual talking. Like, let's just meet up for coffee, like just keep it very casual. But if it's like dinner, and then you come to like, who's paying for the bill? Like, what I mean? Things like that. It's just like, okay, like I'm very casual with it. I think that's the approach that you probably tell them to go, like, keep it very casual at first. If it builds into something, manifests in something, it'll happen that way. But
and like it's exactly like sometimes dates can feel like interviews, and that's not the right approach either. It's like
you told me. So Caitlin told me that you like airplanes. Like, is that true? The guy's like, oh yeah.
Yeah, so made me lose my train of thought.
Boom. I typically do that. I'm sorry. We're so doing this raw, guys. We no script, nothing. So we're just literally just going through with it. I appreciate you for just hanging with it. Because if you guys are listening on our live stream, this is all raw, authentic. We're just, I'm not writing any questions down. I'm just going off what we're feeling.
It's
so
true. I asked for questions
She did.
beforehand,
She
and he
did.
was like, "Nah, this just goes with the flow."
No, it's like, no, let's just go with the
I'm
flow.
down with that.
Natural, easing your way in. So yeah, it's kind of how I am. So walking the wide date. So yeah, but yeah. So I mean, now I actually want to ask. Now I know you told me what got you into matchmaking. Now you told us a little bit about your dating life, but like, what else? I want to know a little bit more about your experience. If you're open to say anything about your personal experience with dating. I know you mentioned you were married. I'm not sure if you had experience with that too as well, but
well, I mean, that's why I encourage people to take it slow.
Yeah.
Because that really was like, we were friends for 6 months, we were dating for 6 months, and then we were married, because it was like so like intense, and so just like the physical attraction, and just the being able to talk to each other for hours, and that's like the early stages of a relationship. You can't really gauge if someone's compatible with you in that when that's happening, because that first 6 months is so intense.
It calls honeymoon
you
stages.
shouldn't be making decisions about a relationship in the first like 6 months to I always just encourage people 2 years like dating, getting to know each other is a good in a good amount of time. So I think that from my own experience, like that's part of what I encourage others to do, is learning from my mistakes as well. So yeah. And then in terms of, I've actually mostly been single, funnily enough, and it's something that, I enjoy dating.
Yeah.
And so people are always like, oh, but you're a matchmaker, you should be in a relationship. And it's like, well, no, actually, like, I should be an expert at dating, which I am, because I have done that a lot.
Yeah.
And I don't view things in terms of I'm looking for a relationship. I view things as, is this someone that I would want to have a relationship with?
Yeah.
It's about the person in front of me. It's not about wanting a certain thing.
Yeah.
And people fall under so many different categories of like, oh, like, you're a really like cool guy, I really enjoy your company, but like I don't know that we would be compatible as a whole.
Yeah.
Because what I discovered after I got married is just we had so many different values. Just even the way we managed money was so different. It was just like,
it's different when you get married.
It was really hard and really scary in a lot of ways, because you're like, well, we're in a partnership now and we deal with this topic so differently. Like, I'm like super responsible, all about like budgeting and stuff like that, and he was just kind of like, oh, he didn't even know how much money he had in his bank account, kind of thing.
You're
So
just like
yeah.
I know too many relationships like that. I just know too many marriages like that right now. Money's a big issue, guys. Big, especially if you're meeting someone, you're marrying someone, you're spending the rest of your life with. Got to make sure they are not spending credit cards on things that don't bring you anything back. I don't know how to explain that. So
well, I mean, that also goes back to that like interdependence, where each, I don't believe in joint bank accounts. I believe that each person should have their own money, and they're managing their own money, and then also talking about joint expenses and things like that. So I think that the marriage model is outdated, and I think that we need to start thinking about these things in a more pragmatic kind of way, because I don't think that the old system of having like everything shared is the way to go, because it's just you become like too intertwined with one another, and I don't think that that's healthy.
No, it's definitely not, and I've seen too many things like I said. we're the highest, divorce rate now. It's been going up because of that reason. It's just like a lot of it's either just money is a big one, and I think once you join accounts, it's just like you know what I mean. Like it gets pretty bad. It gets pretty crazy once you start joining accounts together. Like you start realizing really how much the other person's spending. You're like, did you really need to get that? Oh well, no, I didn't. But it's whatever. It's just like I've heard conversations, and I'm just like sitting there in the back, like, I'll never get married. just kidding, guys. But no, but like I was like, I don't know. Like these are good topics to talk about. I know we don't talk about it in our podcast. We're not like I don't say that I'm an expert, but I just bring these topics up to surface, and I think there was started to get more of a belief in Mr. and Mrs. Right. I was telling people I have been listening to a book. And I read a book, not listened to a book. Read a book.
I was like,
listen to it. No. Read a book, and it was The Rules of Love, Sex, and Dating. It was by one of my favorite pastors of Christian, and his name is Andy Stanley. And I read this book, and a lot of it's resurfaced, and a lot of ideas. You didn't have to be like a traditional, like you don't have to traditional have sex before marriage. You don't have to do that route like all the time. You know what I mean? Like it really is compatibility. I think what it comes down to, like, I still believe that you are who you attract. I think, like, you still typically, if you're doing this on your own with no matchmaker, you have to attract that person, right?
Yeah. So
it's just like that person that you're looking for. Are you the person that the other person's looking for? Right?
Yes, that's a good point as well.
Yeah, so that makes
sense.
Okay.
It's like if someone is looking for a particular characteristic and they themselves don't have that characteristic, then it's a little bit like, unbalanced.
Yeah.
It's like, well, like it, why would that person that has that characteristic want to date someone that doesn't?
That doesn't have it.
So it's also so then matchmaking then also comes down to practicality as well.
Yeah.
So it's definitely it's a tricky job, but it's enjoyable.
I was like, man, I'm like looking at all like the different routes. I'm like, and I just like there's so much that comes into play with that, and definitely like appreciate the work you're doing. It's definitely it's not easy. Definitely not easy, and but it's based on your experience. It's also helped you. It helped you understand like what key components to look for. Like, what are you really looking for? Communication is big.
Yeah.
Okay, that's really huge.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing ever to me.
Yeah.
The communication, like, it's so many different levels. And I think, like, when you don't know what the other person's doing or thinking or what they're saying to you, it's hard for you to reciprocate back what they're saying. And it's just, it gets so crazy, and it's just like, and I think breaking it down that way helps. And I think and it's just, where your line of work is just like, okay, I know, okay, you know what I mean? So, but, I'm not sure if you have any other questions about us or any other question you want to ask me. I know I asked you a few questions here, but I'm giving you the mic. You can ask any questions. I know it's kind of nearing our end, but if you guys are just listening in, I have a professional matchmaker here on our podcast, and I've recorded it, so I'll put it on my Instagram, YDay Instagram, and also I will see if I can put this on my YouTube channel, which is just starting up right now. I'm manning it by myself with no Max Savage or Renaissance Man. I know I have like 2 co-hosts, but they're not here, so bear with me, guys. I'm doing what I can. It's not easy doing it on your own, manning on your own. We're not used to Max Savage yelling at people, like screaming. If you guys listened to him before, he's kind of crazy. So, but I definitely appreciate you having me on again. But I'm not sure if you have any questions to ask about.
I did just want to give some dating tips.
Dating tips.
So
you guys better listen right now.
Stories are a really great way to get to know someone as well as like interact. So it kind of goes away from this like laundry list of, okay, well, like, are you a good on paper kind of person? And so many times you hear people like, oh, they were good on paper, like everything I'm looking for, but it's just not there.
Yeah.
So it's like you can be good on paper. It could be, and that's what I'm talking about. Is like clients come with that list of like, and then they're like, oh, like I realize that a lot of this actually isn't that important.
Yeah.
you know, that actually that some of these other things might be, or that some of the things I had on there are the most important,
Yeah.
and everything else is just kind of extra.
Yeah.
Because people are human, you know, people have, you know, flaws, people aren't perfect,
Yeah.
and you're not going to find that. I don't believe in Mr. and Mrs. Right.
Yeah.
You know, I believe in, you know, sort of accepting people for who they are and where they're at. You know, that's another big thing is like, you know, asking yourself, if I were to marry this person, for example, can I accept them for who they are right now?
Yeah.
You know, like I think that is a huge part of it, because when we're wanting someone to change, it's, you know, people don't change.
Yeah.
People are who they are, and they'll change if they want to change.
Yeah.
But that's up to them. That's their choice.
Yeah.
That's not your
Yeah.
decision.
It's true.
So
It's true.
stories are a great way to interact during dates, and then also asking open-ended questions. You know, so not something that you can answer like just yes
It's
or
like,
no
how are you?
to.
Good.
Yeah.
Good morning. Yes.
You know, and then if
What are you doing? Nothing.
and a way to make people comfortable, you know, if they do initially start giving a couple of word answers, you know, then like listening to their answer and asking a question based on what they've answered to try and make them feel more comfortable and more at ease. You know, and asking like harder questions on dates, more interesting questions, you know, like, you know, where have you traveled in the world? What was your most favorite place? Why was it your most favorite place? Like these questions that like connect you to another person, not this, what do you do for work? And like, you know, where did you go to university? And all this kind of
things that don't matter.
stuff.
Yeah.
Exactly. That really at the end of the day doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't really tell you a lot about a person's values. Or, you know, are they going to treat me right? You know, do they have good communication skills? All of this stuff that's so important in romantic relationships.
Yeah, that's true. And I think we always look at that all the time, like status and what they do for a living. And I've had girls like unmatch me just based on what I did. Like, oh, I work customer service. Unmatch. I'm like, huh. You know what I mean? Like, damn, I could have been a good guy. You know, like it could have been good. You know, I wasn't hurt, but I was just like, wow, that didn't go really well. But it's like, you know, so weird, and it's just like, yeah, it's okay. But that's powerful. That's powerful, definitely. What tips you got? I'm hearing some good stuff. So people are like, this is awesome. This is good. Let's go. Actually, I'm getting some good feedback on this. So it's helping. So a lot of people are.
Great.
So I thank you for sharing those. If you got any more of those notes there.
I'm trying to think what else.
You know, so what else you got in there?
This actually is my matchbook. I
Oh,
have
okay.
all of my potential matches.
Oh, that's the scriptures. This is the archives. I was like, oh, this is the secret, guys. But yeah, I mean, unless you want to add anything else to the episode, I think we're almost nearing our end here. Yeah, We're almost finishing up. But yeah, anything else you wanted to say on here? I know we've.
Oh, so I suppose another tip I would have for dating is going into it saying straight off the bat that you're looking for a relationship is not the right approach.
Yeah.
Because people at the end of the day, they want to feel special and they want to feel chosen.
Yeah.
You know, they don't want to feel like, oh, this person just really wants a relationship and they'll have a relationship with the next person that comes along.
Yeah.
They want to feel like this person has dated a few different people or is dating a few different people, and they've chosen me because they believe that we have an awesome connection.
Wow, I've never heard that before. No one's ever said that. Like everyone's always said to say like, yo, like you need to tell them what they're feeling right now. And I think a lot of people say that, and I think it's so weird. No one's ever said that before. No one's ever said, don't say that. Don't all the facts say that. Like,
because it puts so much pressure.
Yeah,
it's like it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman.
Yeah.
You know, when I've gone out with guys and they're like, I really want a relationship, I've been like, this is too much, because it's like straight away they want something from me.
Yeah.
As opposed to it being like, do we vibe? Are we connecting? Like, is this something that could work? So kind of like letting it be more free flowing and more about getting to know the person, not being fixated on an end result that, you know, in the end, like might not even be someone that you would want to date.
Yeah. Powerful. I've never heard that before. That's like you just like you just like something just sparked in my brain. I was like, oh my gosh, I get it now. Like, you know, like I've heard that all the time, and I felt it, but I didn't know how to like put it in words, like what just happened. And I was like, man, it is kind of nerve-wracking and pressure. Like, oh, what makes you different from the next person that they're gonna move back to? Like, they're gonna be like, I'm looking for relationship only, and then with the next person, I'm looking for relationship only. And it's just like, doesn't make you feel exclusively at all, and it doesn't really feel good sometimes.
Yeah, like, I think people should just go into dating being like, I want to connect with another human being. Like, that is like the sole purpose of going out on a date or hanging out or whatever, is just, I want to see if we have a connection, see if we're vibing, and just like take all of the pressure off of like labels and what's happening and that kind of thing.
Man, why did you forget to add that in there? You were gonna forget to add that in there, and I was like,
we're doing your free flowing. No like, pre-prepared questions.
You were gonna leave that one out. I'm glad I asked, dude. Like, I was just like, wait a minute, are you sure there's anything else you're missing in there? Are you sure there's nothing else to add on there? Like, dude, see, someone's already quoting you right now. I'm looking for to connect with another human being. We're gonna quote you now. That is Helen Soprano's quote for the day. That's gonna be the one. That's gonna hit a lot of nails today. Like, that was
cool.
Okay. Done. We're done with the podcast, guys. That's it. We're done. I don't need to add any more. That's done. But if you guys really want to know more about her matchmaking?
Yeah.
Book, yeah. Okay, matchbook.
Yeah, if you want to go in my matchbook.
Yeah, matchbook.
He's going to share my.
Yeah,
email.
I'll show you guys her email, and it's CDAPRANO.
Yeah.
@gmail.com. So I'll put it right there. If you guys can see it, it's like in reverse. It's a mirror. But if you guys want to know more of her email, just send me a DM, and I can give you her email, and you guys connect with her because, yeah, man, she just shut this whole episode down right now. So I have nothing else to say. I literally usually say something. I have nothing else to say. But thank you guys for tuning in. And our next episode, we are going to be talking about. I already prepared for the next one.
That's cool.
It's supposed to be called Kill the White Knight. It's gonna talk about a whole bunch of things that I need to talk about. It's not an attack on men, but it's also an attack on like what we talked about, like these married people are looking for aren't really what they are. You know what I mean, like you find that out later on, like they sold themselves. These guys who sell themselves that they're this type of person, but they're not really that person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's plenty of guys like that. It's like, okay, you're not. You know what I mean? Like you're kind of, I didn't know this person was such an asshole. Like, well, they've always been that way. They just kind of sold you on the opportunity. They're just like this hero beacon of hope of like, man, and it's just like, I don't know. I can go in tune with it. We're gonna have one of our guest hosts on here, Alpha Monk, on there. So he's gonna be tuning in, and we're gonna like have him going into it. So that's gonna be next episode. Hopefully we have you again on next episode because you just killed this one. Like we're literally just like, I'm done. I just mic down. You know, like I'm gonna mic drop. Done. But thanks you guys for tuning in. Also on the live stream too, guys. And send me a DM if you guys want more information. I will post this episode. I'll try to see if I can post this on our YouTube, this live stream, if I can. I don't know if I can or not. But don't quote me on that. But I will do my best to post this on there because this is gold. Thank you for you guys tuning in. And that is it.
Thank you. Bye.
All right. Take it easy.